What's up? Welcome to the second episode of the Nerdgasm Channel Podcast. Today you have Willie, aka Unofficial Ninja.
Zach, Romeo 313.
Jules, Fade Alexander.
And we have our special guest who hasn't been on. This is his first time.
Brandon, aka Kirito.
Yay! And today we're going to be talking about Spider-Man finally coming to the Marvel Universe, Funimation broadcast dubs, 50 Shades of Grey and Kingsman, free-to-play versus subscription services, and KOR-FX. So let's get started. Spider-Man coming to the Marvel Universe.
Well, it looks like it's finally going to happen, right?
Yes.
So I think that's pretty cool.
That's awesome.
So the people, maybe the listeners don't understand, but the Spider-Man movie universe was owned by Sony. And a little bit of history, Marvel, in all of its infinite wisdom, back in the 90s, or late 90s, early 2000s, when Stan Lee was basically whoring himself out and selling everything, all of his movies, selling them all to whatever studio would buy them, he sold off, Fantastic Four to Fox, X-Men got Fox as well, or Fox got X-Men as well, and then Spider-Man went to Sony. And that was a big thing. And then, of course, Disney comes in with all its infinite wisdom, i.e. money, and they purchased Marvel, right? And after that, they were like, well, Spider-Man is not coming to Marvel Universe because Sony owns it and it makes billions of dollars for us, so we're not giving it to you. And lo and behold, what was it, a week ago or so? They said, you know what, we'll let you have it. But we'll still have creative control to a certain degree, I think, something like that.
Is that what it was? Because I honestly felt like Disney was just like, you're going to give us this or we're going to make your life a living hell. Which is fine, because they're Disney and they can do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's more of a shared venture. Sony still owns the rights to it, but they just found a way to share the
But it's a contract. It'll end eventually.
Yeah. But I mean, they didn't give it all, complete
if
rights.
I'm Disney, I'm biding my time.
Just buy Sony altogether. Just get all their stuff.
They could. Bob Iger, you are a genius. You have really turned Disney around because you're buying properties that actually make you money. Bob Iger was, they tried to get Pixar back, and it took a while, but they did, and it's now, Pixar was their really big only moneymaker at the time, because Disney Animation went, kaput for a little bit, so, it was a smart move, so.
Yeah, so it's going to be cool to see Spider-Man in the new Avengers movies, or Thor 3, or X-Men 18, or whatever the case may be, if they get an X-Men movie, who knows. Every, 100 years, they decide to do this where they destroy their universe and bring them back together. So they're doing the Secret Wars again, and they're going to pull back some of their characters and bring some back to life and so forth. Since we're on the cusp of talking about Spider-Man, some of the new Spider characters that are coming out are Spider-Gwen. So in a different alternate universe, Gwen Stacy doesn't die.
Really?
And she gets bit.
Spoiler alert.
Bitten. Not really spoiler alert. You should know this if you read comic books. Sorry for you if you don't. Now you know. But she gets bitten by a radioactive spider, and she gets some of at the same time. Instead of Peter Parker, she gets bitten, and she becomes Spider-Gwen. So her new book is coming out.
So Peter Parker doesn't exist in this reality?
Kind of, sort of, just maybe a little bit. Kind of different. That's a little bit more research you might want to have to do.
Well, actually, I need to know, because I don't know anything about that.
You don't he does, he does, he doesn't, but...
He's obviously not the central character.
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And same thing in another universe. There's another the radioactive. Actually, in the Spider-Gwen version, Peter Parker doesn't get bitten; she gets bitten instead. And then in the alternate universe, there's another. The spider bites two people, bites Peter Parker and Gwen. Silk. There's a new Spider-Woman coming out called Silk.
Cool.
And she's
I'd like to see
really
more
cool.
Spider-Women.
Yeah, me too. I love the girl power kind of stuff. So
right on.
Spice Girls all the way.
Girls
so I just thought that was kind of neat, a little add in there. Because there's going to be 2 new female Spider characters in the new Marvel universe as well. So hopefully they'll get taken off and they'll be in future movies as well. Because everybody loves Gwen Stacy.
But they're working on it.
Yeah, their books come out. So Gwen Stacy's comes out February 25th, if I remember correctly, or Spider-Gwen.
Oh, I bet you're excited about that.
I am. It's getting a Scotty Young variant as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I have no idea what that means.
Me neither.
Scotty who?
Scotty Young. He's
Scotty
probably
Young.
one of the premier comic book variant artists out there. He does the baby Spider.
He doesn't do all the art. He just does the cover.
He does the covers.
Did you say baby Spider-Man?
Yeah, like Chibi.
Oh, I was like, there's a baby Spider-Man? Why haven't I seen this? That's awesome.
But it's pretty cool, so I'm super excited about it.
I wish there was a baby Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, that would be kind of neat, huh?
I'm sorry. I just had the vision in my head of a little infant just like... Could be everywhere.
It'd be a
What would his
smart
diaper
infant.
be full with? Like, oh, well, I guess
Probably
Spider-Man
poop.
doesn't. I guess I forgot.
Baby.
I was thinking like actual
They
spider
don't poo
baby.
out that spider.
Like a spider baby. Like more of an accurate one.
So actually, I love talking about this, but I want to actually cast this motherfucker. Let's do it. Let's cast the new Spider-Man. Do you see him more as the white character or the what was the
Miles Morales?
Miles Morales. So what do you
the
call
Latino?
it? Blatino? Do you see a Blatino
black
Spider-Man?
Latino
Because I would
Spider-Man?
love to see that. I would love to see that. Honestly, if you
Latino.
cast the right person. Now, of course, my mind goes to Donald
Willie
Glover.
Cox. Oh, sorry.
Willie Cox. No, Willie Cox would make the greatest Latino Spider-Man, honestly.
I'd like to be Venom. Sorry, continue.
No, nothing wrong with that.
So,
I mean, I said Donald Glover. Who would you
I would
else
love
would you
to
choose?
Donald Glover, actually.
I mean, he's got the
like him.
funny. He's got the acting chops. He could do it, and he could actually pull off being young. You know, obviously his community is Troy. Like, it really comes down to wardrobe and lines, really. And he's a good enough actor. He can do
so
it.
you think America's ready for a black Spider-Man?
I think America needs a black.
We need
Spider-Man.
Obama to play Spider-Man.
Oh, no. Well, let's be. I can't do an Obama. Can anybody do an Obama here?
Not really.
We're just gonna fuck it up. We
you
need
know,
Key and Peele.
I actually really liked Andrew Garfield.
I did too.
I'm not.
I thought he was far better than
Tobey
Tobey
Maguire
Maguire.
was good for the time
Here's
period
my
in which he
problem.
made it.
Here's
you know?
my problem. If you go off of a Spider-Man that everybody knows, Andrew Garfield was kind of it. Because Peter Parker was kind of a dork, but he still had enough...
Get a little swagger to
He had a
him.
little swagger to him. Where Tobey Maguire played him up like a dweeb.
Yeah,
Now,
he definitely
everybody
did.
else that actually watched the movies that didn't know Spider-Man's backlog story was... it was very much a Superman. Like, Peter Parker was the dweeb who was unassuming to the point where Spider-Man was his alter ego. Kind of like, Clark Kent versus Superman. Now, I kind of enjoyed that. I really did. So that's on me. But you guys obviously differ, in my opinion. On that.
Yeah, I just liked whatever the cat's name was.
Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield. I liked him
him
as
too.
Spider-Man. I
And
really
I
did.
like that he's dating Emma Stone because she is super banging.
She's pretty
Wait,
cool.
in
She
real
is.
life, or are you just talking about in
Oh,
the
I'm
movie?
talking about in real life.
Oh, they're dating? Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, you didn't know that?
Huh.
Oh, well, yeah, they've been together for a while.
Oh, nice.
So if I were to cast, I would actually keep him as Spider-Man. But
And
that's
he looks young. He looks young.
Yeah.
Like if they keep it in the same type of fashion as the current Spider-Man is, then I agree with you. But if they are trying to shake it up and go, like if they're doing a new origin and like switch it up and go like towards a different version of Spider-Man, then it would be nice to see like an actual ethnic Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But people would flip their shit though, kind of like what they do in the
Julius,
Fantastic
you don't
Four.
seem to care about the ethnic Spider-Man.
I don't really care. They're superheroes and they're kind of like an archetype to me. I don't really see them in a shade of race.
I agree.
So I just look at them as the way they embody the character that I've grown up with. But I not knowing anything really
America.
about Miles Morales or the alternate universe, Ultimate Universe Spider-Man that took up the helm after Peter Parker's killed.
But do you
I
also
didn't
agree
really know.
that...
So
Because, honestly, it shouldn't matter. That's why, Captain America is an African-American now.
well,
Does that bother you?
that was not necessarily that he's an African American, and I don't like the word African American personally.
What would you prefer? I'm sorry.
Fucking American. The Captain America, the whole story behind how Captain America became black, because he's really just Falcon with the Captain America shield. So that's just silly to me. He didn't get any super serum powers, and at least in the book. So I really don't care about the Captain America black thing. It's just we needed somebody to pick up the shield because Captain America is now 90 and he doesn't have super serum powers anymore. So that's where that story came about.
This also plays into Hollywood and stuff like that, whitewashing characters.
Yeah.
Do you always need to see a white hero?
Well, you got to think about when these characters were created.
Exactly. When
Most
they
of
were
these
created.
characters were created
Oh, no,
in the
I agree.
50s.
That's all
I
you
agree.
saw.
You
and so-
couldn't do anything beside that,
And
What
at this
were you
point, you just have to force people to accept it. I mean, really is where we're at now. I mean,
Just
you
to
introduce
do
a
it.
character like that, it's kind of like, you know what? If we're going to really have this conversation, you just do it.
Yeah.
And you'll have the whole outcry of, wait a minute, you can't have a black Spider-Man.
And people
Why
have
not?
an issue with it.
Yeah.
Well,
there
there's
are
always
people
been
who have
white.
issue with
And
it.
you know
Yes.
what? I'm cool with that.
Every
Let 'em have
character
issues
was
with
white at that time.
Exactly.
So, and that's just not...
Honestly, I think
not good
I
representation.
think there should be an Asian Peter Parker.
No.
There should be an Asian Spider-Man because we would nail the nerdy side of
Just
it.
fucking nerd. No.
Seriously, we would. Like
He'd be good at math.
good at math,
Couldn't drive, though.
Good at math.
could drive, but he could clean
Blinker.
your clothes like nobody's business.
Ah!
Whoa, that was really bad, but I'm an Asian, so I can say that shit.
But I don't know. I think if they embody the character that you're used to, you'll look past the color of the character. Personally,
It's
that's
scary.
just me.
Plus, Spider-Man's in a mask, so
Yeah.
like, if you had issue with him, whatever race he was, he's still masked.
People fall in love with their comic book characters, but those dual personalities, one is going to have a following too. Like there are people who they don't even really care, how muscular is Spider-Man, how does he act when he's quote unquote Spider-Man, but they care very much about how he is when he's Peter Parker. A lot of the discussion you see about all the Batmans.
Yeah.
Great Bruce Wayne, terrible Batman, or vice versa. Nobody's
I
really
agree.
nailed both. And that's perfect
And
story. I liked
maybe-
Andrew Garfield better as Peter Parker than I did
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire as Peter
you know
Parker.
why?
Spider-Man, I thought they
Exactly.
both did pretty well, but their Peter Parker characters,
Yeah.
I definitely had a
I'll
preference.
agree with that.
And
yeah.
you know what? I don't know enough about Spider-Man's backstory to actually know that Peter Parker was he was nerdy.
He was
right?
nerdy, but he
still
had
had
a bit
swagger.
of a bit
Yeah.
of cool because he
Right.
had some of the hottest girls in the school or in the
Gwen.
city or the town. Gwen Stacy,
His pimp was strong.
Mary Jane, he Black Cat.
Imagine how strong it would be if he was just like had a little more flavor to him.
So, but it's pretty neat. So I'm excited about to see what the future will hold for Spider-Man and all medias, whether it's comic book or movie.
But like
So
back to
we'll
what I
see.
said, let's cast it. Who would you cast? Do you want to see a Miles Morales Spider-Man, or do you want to just see the Peter Parker that we all are known to?
I don't really care.
Honestly, Peter Parker is more marketable. We know that just based on the name alone. Like,
Yeah.
if you ask most people that have seen Spider-Man, they're like, "Oh, Peter Parker is Spider-Man."
Mm-hmm.
But would it matter that he was Miles Morales, who's a character who's what did you call him?
He's black and Latino.
Black and
I think
Latino. So
he's black and
Latino,
Puerto Rican. I think it's
yeah, which is fine
from the Bronx. But.
In fact, like, would that character even exist if it wasn't for that weird campaign that came out a long time ago? Where I've read so much stuff lately where they're like, "Fuck no, I don't want to see Donald Glover as Spider-Man. I don't want to see him as Peter Parker." Well, you know what? It was kind of a joke to Donald Glover, and he just ran with it on his Twitter, which is pretty awesome, honestly. Like, if somebody on my Twitter was like, "I want you as a superhero," I would pimp that out like nobody's business. Nobody
Yeah,
wants.
Nobody wants to see me.
It really depends.
You never know.
I don't think with such. This is just me looking at it from a business perspective. I don't think that Marvel / Sony would take such a chance with that. Just acquiring this new franchise,
I agree,
possibly.
I agree.
I think they're
I
going to
agree
stick
with
with traditional $1 million, billion dollar
Oh,
Peter
billion.
Parker. So I think they're going to stick with that and go, "Hey, he's going to stay."
But would the story even be where Miles Morales would even be in the picture yet? Because he's in like an alternate universe,
Yeah,
right?
he's in universe
So
6.
this is like
616.
where this is taking place with them
Ultimate
merging
universe.
together. Miles
that
Morales
actually brings up a good
isn't
point.
there yet.
It
So
brings a
there's
good
no
point
point
because
for
he didn't
being
have to
in
be
it.
Miles Morales. What if Peter Parker was black? Just straight up black, not black Puerto Rican. He was just a black guy. Would it matter?
I think it would.
Do you think-
I think it would for the.
do you think the audience
movie
would actually
taking by
respond to it?
populace.
I think they would?
Yeah, I think so.
He would get pulled over a lot more.
I think.
Swinging while black.
I think.
Excuse me, Spider-Man. We're gonna have to pull you over.
I think
I
it
don't
would.
even know you're black.
I really
but,
think it would affect the movie tickets. I think
And you know what? That's the horrible thing about whitewashing characters. You know, we Asians got to deal with it all the time. You know, what are the Asian characters that I have? Would love to see. Like, The Last Airbender was a great example of taking an Asian character and then like, or Dragon Ball Z for that matter. Let's take an Asian character and like, we
don't mention that
need
movie.
somebody
Don't mention that
marketable.
movie.
Yeah,
Who's
don't.
hot? Like when did like that become a thing where like
America, fuck yeah.
well, when the general, and it's changing. I swear it's changing slowly, but it's changing. But when did that become a marketable thing? Because like Dragon Ball Z didn't do very good. The Last Airbender was just fucking, it tanked not because of the casting, because it was just a shitty movie. You took a great animated series and then you turn it into this bullshit that M. Night Shyamalan, pumped out. Who knows his name? Rock it out.
I just say M. Night.
M. Night
M.
Shyamalan.
Night.
Shamanama.
Yeah, exactly.
Mama say, Mama sa, Makusa is what I call
Exactly. He pumped it out. And, honestly, I haven't been impressed with his work since Unbreakable. That's pretty bad.
I
that
like
was
The
his
Village.
second film.
I like The Village.
Village, I actually had it down. I knew exactly what was going to happen.
like Lady in the
called
Water.
it. I called it.
I like
in
Lady in
like
the Water
10 minutes
too.
in the movie.
I actually like him as a director personally, but
Apparently,
he
I
didn't.
do too. I didn't.
He didn't. Yeah, he didn't.
Just start spouting off
All right,
movies. I'm
well,
like,
then
I like that one
you
too.
know
I
what?
like that one too.
M. Night needs to stick with his own work, not
Yeah.
other people's.
Yeah,
Because
it's funny.
Avatar was beloved, and I think that movie probably, you should look it up. What is the Rotten Tomato, score on
I'm sure it's like 12.
-2.
10?
I still haven't watched it, and I'm a huge fan of it.
I watched about half of it, and I couldn't stand it anymore.
I saw it in theaters, and it was
But,
like,
I'm a little
ooh.
more passionate because I'm Asian. So when I see an Asian character that gets whitewashed out like that, we're not marketable. We really aren't. At this moment, we're not. We have this new series called Fresh Off the Boat.
Has that started yet?
It has started. And
Okay,
it's...
I missed an episode then.
I've read the book. I love Mr. Wang's work. My issue is it's not that funny of a sitcom yet. That's my problem. So I've watched...
But it might get there, though.
It might.
Because the
and that's
Goldbergs
fine.
was the same kind of thing. Was it the Goldbergs? Is that the one it's called? Where it's about
Yeah,
the
it's Goldberg's, the 80s.
the 80s Jewish.
My deal is they're on the
community.
cusp of being really funny, and
took it a
it's
couple of
not
seasons.
that funny right now. And as an Asian ex-actor, I tried to go for roles that weren't, kung fu related. I would do anything that I could to actually be a legitimate actor, not just, hey, you got cast in this new kung fu movie, so you're going to go and get your ass kicked by somebody. You know what I mean?
I think it might, because if you think back to again mid-90s when everything was being marketed, Margaret Cho had a really good Chinese American series called
was
All
Korean.
American Girl. Korean?
All American Girl. I watched every episode. Because
it took
that
it a
was the
little
very
bit to
first
get
time that I
going.
saw on network television somebody that even as a girl I could relate to, even though I was adopted, just because I had white parents, but at the same time very Asian background. So All American Girl was the very first Asian sitcom, and it was all right.
I liked it.
There wasn't anything wrong with it, and it lasted for a season. We need to stop taking characters and changing their race just to fit the demographic or what's popular. And I think personally, I would love to see more races represent, characters.
One last thing that before we go to the next topic, the Metacritic or the Rotten Tomato score on the Airbender was 2.8 out of 10.
I agree. That movie sucked.
All right,
But honestly, I don't think that if you put Asian characters in there, it would have been any better. That movie was just terrible.
This is a bad script. Just a bad adaptation, I think.
All right. So our next topic is going to be Funimation broadcast dubs, which is Funimation started last year with the premiere of Space Dandy on Adult Swim, Cartoon Network, Toonami, basically. They were releasing Space Dandy episodes in the U.S. dubbed the same night they were coming out in Japan subbed. So basically you would get it at the same time, which is pretty cool because you kind of felt special that you're like, oh, I'm watching this the same as soon as my Japanese brethren, were. And so they're doing that now. So the end of last year, they added 2 more shows that they decided to do a broadcast dubbed, is what they're calling it. And so Psycho Pass Season 2, and then a new show called Laughing Under the Clouds would premiere every week, I believe Saturdays, in English dub. And so it's basically releasing the same time in Japan. So they decided to expand on it since they got a lot of fan feedback that they really liked it, and I guess it was popular enough. So now they've added a few more shows. So Assassination Classroom, Death Parade, Tokyo Ghoul, the second season, Double Talk, which I haven't heard about that one, Absolute Duo, Yurikuma Arashi, Iona of the Dawn, and Maria the Virgin Witch. There might be some other ones, but that's what I'm seeing currently. And so with that, they're actually adding a kind of like a anime block where you can watch online these new releases, but they come out in America dubbed the same time they're coming out in Japan. And so this kind of touches back how we were talking about piracy last podcast, where piracy kind of changed how the industry had to operate in order to kind of help people get the media so quickly that they might be less likely to download it. So whereas in the past you would have to wait several months to like a year or so to get your English dubbed, now we're getting to where we can get it the same day, if not like 2 days later, in English in our country. And so I just think this is a really cool feature, and I'm glad that they're actually starting to do this more, which means that if this is popular enough, then they'll probably start doing it with almost every one of their shows. And I just thought it was cool to figure out to mention that. Y'all have any thoughts or anything on it?
I wonder how expensive it is to do something like that.
Like that costs?
Cheap.
You think it's cheap?
I think it's about the same. It's about the same as it is.
Because you'd have to be able to get the rights. Not that I know anything about this, but you'd have to be able to get the rights to the shows as soon as they're being made in Japan.
Yeah.
So you can have that dubbed, that dubbing being done as soon as it comes out.
But they would have already made some sort of deal.
Yeah.
The reason why, you're probably right, the piracy issue, but at the same time, yeah, I mean, like, you have the voiceover artists, and, like, a lot of people don't realize that voiceover artists don't make a whole lot. They have to work a lot to make their money, so it's like, it's speeding up the process. And, you know, anime is becoming so popular here that, you know, why not? You know, but they probably only pick and choose which ones they're doing.
Yeah, like the ones that they like. That's why they tested it out with Psycho-Pass season 2 and Laughing Under the Clouds. And basically, people were asking, "Well, what will affect you doing this more often?" They were like, kind of the ratings that we get from this. We learned at one of the panels at Acon, I believe, Funimation said basically that you don't get if there's shows that they simulcast, which is in Japanese or subbed in English. Whenever they're simulcasting episodes, if they don't get people watching that, basically they have to get all the views before the last episode airs, or none of the views after that count toward its ratings.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And so
Yeah,
they're
they said that
like,
at
so
Acon.
they constantly are basically like, because a lot of people like to binge watch, and so they're like, if you do binge watch make sure
on the
you
last
watch
episode.
all the episodes before that last one. And so that's why they tested it out on 2 animes, and I bet you that the ratings were high enough to where they can see that going forward with this would be a viable way, because there's been a ton of actual animation studios in Japan have to close, mainly due from like piracy and
People just not buying their product.
Yeah.
Genion was one of those.
Oh,
Yeah.
did they close?
Yeah, they've been closed for a
wow.
while now.
I
Yeah.
didn't
So, and then Bandai of America, I believe, they stopped doing, they closed their U.S. branch basically.
Really?
Completely. And so, it's just like piracy was really taking a lot, because it costs bukus of money to animate a show.
Sure.
And then if people are just bootlegging it, and so
Well, it
with
is
stuff
their-
like this,
It is their cinema.
yeah.
So imagine everything that we have here in the United States. That is their cinema.
Yeah, and like I believe last time I looked at the stats, because Japan actually started a anti-piracy campaign, and I think it was Korea. It might have been Korea or China in the U.S. were like what they were losing like billions on in piracy.
Well, it makes sense.
And so doing it this way, at least like those people who use, well, I don't get it quick enough in English as an excuse.
But you
this
need-
gives it like the same.
You need the Funimation, like you
Like,
need to have the subscription, right?
I believe with the dubs, you do have to have a subscription.
Which is how much?
For
49, well, there was 49.
like they had a sale on it. Let me see how much it is now. But they're
$59.99, $59.95 a year.
a year.
Which, if you're an anime enthusiast, that's cheap.
Well, they actually added a second thing too. Now you can do a sub pass
For
those.
$40.
Yeah, for those of you who don't like English dubs or don't need them, they have it. Yeah, $39.95 for the 12 months on the sub pass, or like you were saying, $59.99 for the all access pass. And
Well,
you do get a free trial.
You guys are super anime fans, so
Yeah.
like, let me ask you this: like, do you prefer the subs versus the dubs?
For me, it depends on the actual show, and for the most part with Funimation, I really do like their dubs. They usually do a really great job.
Well, they have the best voice actors in the business.
Yeah, and so I don't mind watching dubs with them, but then there are some shows where they do it better in sub. You just got to make sure whichever one you started in, you have to pretty much.
That's pretty much.
I agree with
that's
that.
pretty much what it is for me.
But I think the issue comes down to, like, if you're a parent that really wants to share your love of anime, and if it's kid friendly for them, unless you just let your kids watch anything,
Some people do.
Like, you should probably want a good dub version.
Yeah, definitely. So,
So they can follow.
so they can
Yeah,
follow along.
Yeah, as a parent, I can say trying to introduce my daughter to some of the more kid-friendly animes. She can read really well, but it's hard
It's
to try
hard
to
for
keep
me
up
sometimes.
Yeah.
with everything that's going through very quickly and watching what's going on in the show. And so when we watch something that's only subbed, she kind of loses interest. But if it's got some voice acting, I mean, she's right there and she will be fixed on it. So I think it's good. For me personally, it depends on the show. I will usually start in English just to see the quality of the dub, and if it's good, I'll probably stick with it because it's just easier.
Yeah.
But if it's a little sketchy, just switch it back, and I don't have a problem.
Does anybody watch anime kind of in bed, just kind of basically paying attention to it?
For me, it's whichever way I start. If I start in English, I have to finish it in English. If I started in Japanese, I have to finish it in Japanese. That's just me. I can't make the transition, especially if it's one of the... And I usually watch the pretty lengthy ones, so I'm watching the ones that are in 300, 400, 500 episodes. And I've invested a lot of time, so I'm kind of conditioned to these voices. And when I have to change over, the only one that's actually ever made that transition for me was Naruto, because I started in English, and then you get to Shippuden, and you can't watch anything but Japanese, right? So, but it just really depends now. But inversely to that, I started with the subtitled in Dragon Ball, and then tried to switch over because it was just easier to watch it in English because I travel a lot, and it was easier to watch it in hotel rooms and stuff and not have to worry about things. And I couldn't get past the dubbing on that. It was horrible. So much of context was lost. So it just really depends, I guess.
I've never watched it. So
Well, don't.
I've only watched it dubbed. I mean, I haven't watched it subbed.
Subbed? Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, I don't think I've ever watched it subbed either.
But I liked how the voices were and stuff. I liked the voice acting in it.
In Dragon Ball?
Yeah, because maybe it's because I started it and I gotten used to it. But kind of how we were talking about earlier with the pricing and stuff of how much it probably costs to do a dub cast or broadcast dubs versus just regular sub. It's probably about the same price because the CEO of Funimation, I think it's Jin Fukunaga or something like that. He basically, I think his uncles and stuff were in, the Japanese, kind of like where they started was in Japan, and so he was able to get the rights for Dragon Ball here, and so they kind of built up from that. But I think his popularity or his pull kind of helps him get that stuff more quickly, like the materials that they need from Japan. So the only thing that probably would cost them extra would probably be that I think afterwards they go ahead and then do another kind of dubbing of it, or a more official or finished dub after the series completes for the actual release. So that probably does cost them a little extra there. But yeah, the voice actors don't make a lot of money, so you'll see them in movies. Voice actors for commercials like Ian Sinclair, he's the voice of Space Dandy, and he does the Raising Cane's commercials. Yes, and so now every time I hear a Raising Cane's commercial, I just think of Space Dandy eating chicken, basically chicken strips.
That's funny. Honestly, thinking about it, I think that here at Nerdgasm Channel, we pride ourselves in our voices. I think we can do multiple voices. So, if Funimation or any of those studios want to hire us for bit parts, we're down.
They do randomly do auditions. You can
I
sign
know
up.
they do.
But you have to have acting experience now, which I was like, oh.
Oh, you have to?
Yeah, it used to be you could just sign up, and whenever they do open casts, they'll just send you emails out. And so one of my friends, I've had two of them do it. One who had acting experience, and then the other one didn't. And whenever I went to sign up, you had to have an actual acting portfolio. So it's oh man. But I can mainly just do either super nice teddy bear or angry black guy. Those are the two ranges I have.
Never know if they might need that.
It's true.
They don't. There's I can only think of maybe one or two.
What about an angry
voice actors, black voice actors?
That is the best role ever.
What?
An angry black
teddy bear.
Danganronpa, they have a serial killer teddy bear and that. But
It really comes down to, diction. It comes down to your voice. It comes down to, as an actor, an ex-actor, like, it really comes down to, like, if you're using one part of yourself, you're not being able to sell your face or anything like that. You have to use your voice, but you have to do it in the right way. In fact, like, Julius, you've done some acting.
Yep.
Now, you know that, like, when you need to enunciate, you need to enunciate very clearly and precisely.
Particularly
the problem
in voice
is like, you're talking normally, like, it's not that big of a deal. But if you need to enunciate, that's when it actually is really difficult. Like, people are like, oh, they get paid to just talk.
Not quite.
It's hard.
Right.
No, I know you guys don't know that, but I'm trying to tell the other people that. Like, you're doing multiple takes off lines that may be as small as, like, 2 words. And you have to convey the emotion off 2 words. As an actor, I used to have to get... up to 1 line. Like, and you had to kind of convey what you needed to convey with 1 line. And you will literally feel like the biggest idiot looking at yourself in the mirror going, like, thanks. Something as easy as thanks. It is what it is.
Anyone else hear music?
That is because we are really close to a church.
Oh, I was like, what? Okay. I guess next
Background
topic
music.
is going to be 50 Shades of Grey and Kingsman movies. Though y'all will have to take those because I haven't seen either. And I don't even plan on seeing 50 Shades of Grey.
So, the 2 new movies that came out, well, there may have been more, but those are the 2 big movies that came out for Valentine's Day, right? So, 50 Shades of Grey. Well, where to begin with 50 Shades of Grey? So that's
it's all
obviously,
you, bro.
well, I got a chance to see both those movies this weekend.
With your lady.
Well, yes, one of them was with my lady, and one of them was, hi, Talia. Hope she's having fun at the birthday party.
Tell her how awesome she is.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing. She did have me watch 50 Shades of Grey, but she
read the books.
She has not read the books.
Okay, so
she also teamed that up with some homemade peach cobbler, so I'm gonna do anything she wants. So we went to see. So we went to see 50 Shades of Grey for Valentine's Day last night, and I must admit, now, some people will say this is a romance movie. Mm-hmm. It possibly very well could be. I can't say that it was the most fantastic movie out there, but it's definitely the woman's movie for Valentine's Day, right? You have
Gotcha.
And that's kind of what the whole thing was. Kingsman was the man's movie for Valentine's Day,
I see.
and 50 Shades of Grey was the woman's movie for Valentine's Day.
This is a movie for women.
Yeah, definitely. It was an interesting film. If you don't know obviously
you don't know the story though.
I've never read the books.
Only going off the movie.
What I saw. Yeah, I've never read the books. I never read the books by E.L. James.
I've read the books multiple times.
Okay, so good. Then we can have this conversation.
Oh no, this is
multiple times.
The books for
Anything I
me.
read.
I'm reading it right now.
The movie for
No, are they is I've heard multiple things. I've heard that they're really awesome, but I've also heard that they are written so horribly that it's hard to get through.
Yeah, I mean the basics.
Wait, E.L. James?
E.L. James was the author. Yeah.
E.L. James is the author of...
She.
She, I know. Well, what I don't know what her first name is.
I don't know. I don't know if anybody does. That's why she did it
just
under
E.L.
E.L.
James.
So you wouldn't know when she was producing the books.
Yeah. I mean, the storyline in the books is actually pretty good. Mm-hmm. You'll have the certain factions will say, oh, it's just a book series about, a man controlling a woman. Mm-hmm. But if you actually read the books from beginning to end, it's about her overcoming that and making him a better person.
It's almost like he changed.
Yeah, he will change over. Now, it's never going to go away.
Also,
the person who's controlling will always be controlling, but she doesn't put up with it. That's the difference. She's meek, and yet she's really
very strong. I noticed that from just the first movie.
I also think that, like, the general public's perception of BDSM is way off. Exactly.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know enough about it to actually comment, but, like, I'm smart enough to realize that, like, you can't go off a book to tell you, what it actually, is for the people that are into it.
Yeah, and a lot of that community have said this is not a good representation.
Oh, yeah.
And
I could only imagine.
I think it's just that.
I've never read the books.
It seems very central to the story. Mm-hmm. And at certain parts it is, but it's really secondary to like
you
you
change.
said, the
Or
romance
awakening?
and
Is it an awakening?
yeah, it's really it's an awakening for her. She gets to expand her horizons.
Mm-hmm.
It's an awakening for him because he gets to break down those walls and have those
His
walls
defenses,
broken down
yeah.
that he's built up over the years because of where he's come from, and open himself up to be a better person. And I think
So it's more of the Dorian Gray story, right? Is his name Dorian?
no, Christian.
Christian Grey.
Who might do
Portrait
Dorian
of
is-
Dorian Gray is what you're thinking
Yeah,
of.
you're
Oh, okay. So my bad. My
Yeah.
bad.
No,
My bad. I actually
Christian
don't know
Grey.
anything
It's-
about this.
It's
So it's
very,
his story, not necessarily hers.
It's her story, but he is so central to how the story plays out, and his transformation and her transformation happening simultaneously, but taking opposite paths is actually a really good story. It just wasn't written very well.
Do you
I mean,
also
from a
think-
critical perspective, it's not a good book. It's not a good series.
Historically, this came from a Twilight fan fiction, technically, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Which again,
would you also say that, like, I've actually read the Twilight series. I didn't really like the movies. It is what it is. But I always thought the mythology was right and cool. But like, I didn't need the mushy shit in between that. Like, I thought like the idea of the story was cool, but like it was just not really done. And it wasn't for me. We like 50 Shades of Grey is not for me.
is not for you. Yeah.
You know, it wasn't written for me. Like, the idea was not written for me. Whatever. But I won't hate on anybody that likes it. You know.
All in all, if you had seen the lines at the movie theater, there's a lot of people out there that are going to go watch
A lot
this
of
movie
girls,
and like
yeah.
it.
right?
No, there were couples. It was almost
Yeah.
everybody in the line was a couple. I didn't see it.
You could have done that same thing for Titanic, and I was in that stupid line.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, great, like, epic movie, but I could care less about the love story.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm a cynic. I'm just
But
saying.
there was actually a really good love story in the movie.
Oh, was there?
In the movie,
I don't know
personally, I can look and say, wow, there's some chemistry between these characters, even on screen. It had to be, right? It at least had to be. So the movie itself, as far as a love story component, I thought it did a good job. Having not read the books, I can't really expand on what the book said.
Sure.
But I thought you could definitely see it. You could definitely see the passion between these two people.
Sure.
You could see her willingness to try because obviously she's fallen in love with this man, and he's just got these. I don't know what the word is. I don't want to call them quirks, but things that he's interested in that she knows nothing of, but she's willing to try because she's in love with him. But she also realizes that this is too far past what she's willing to accept.
Yeah.
And I thought it was, honestly, I thought it was a pretty good movie.
But the one thing that movie does well, or the books for that matter, is it brings to light the fact that when you're in a committed relationship, like, you know, as long as the parties are you know, cool with it, like,
Consensual.
kink is not a bad thing. It keeps things lively.
It definitely
you
can
know?
broaden. It can definitely strengthen a
Yeah,
relationship.
broaden your horizons. Like, you know, there's a lot of things that comes down to a committed relationship that, like, things aren't off limits. They shouldn't be.
And that's a testament to why this sold 200 million copies, right?
Yeah.
I guess.
That's-
I mean, I've never read it. It's not
That's a
my
testament
cup
to
of tea,
when they
but-
read it and they were like, "Oh wow, this broadens my horizon." You know, these social moms that are at home raising kids and living vicariously through this book are like, "Oh, this is something," and it may have possibly strengthened a lot of relationships. I'm not saying that they're going to go out and go full BDSM or whatever you call it, but they're not going to do that. But it definitely just something as simple as a tie and blindfold
do you
might
also think
strengthen
that,
the
like,
sexuality in a relationship.
Do you
or
also
liven
think that?
something up.
Oh, sure. Do you think that, like, honestly, like, in most relationships today, that, like, you know, you have to find that spark. You have to find things that, you know, transcend boredom. Because, like, when you're with somebody, and I'm not saying that, like, this is the case, but, like, at the very least, like, I think a lot of couples, when they, you know, have a falling out for whatever reason, it's because they're really not honest with each other.
Oh, I think honesty is paramount in any relationship.
I mean, it has to be, right?
But yeah, and I think we're so overly exposed to sexuality or things just as a community of human beings
Sorry,
now.
I'm so sexy.
That
You're too sexy,
you're not as. This isn't the 50s and 60s where you know you were. It was your mate and that's it. You know, when you guys experience
we had
now,
separate beds,
you
separate
have
twin beds that
Yeah.
you have ways
come
to
together.
experience things without ever experiencing it with your mate any longer. You know, you can go out and do whatever you want to on the
Your
internet.
mate has to be integral.
which is
to what
both
you're
good
doing.
and bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's
And-
good that people can expand their own horizons and say, you know, I never would have been exposed to that 30 years ago. But this is something that I really, really think is amazing and could be fulfilling. But then, to your point, your partner has to be with you to some degree.
100%.
Even if they say, you know what, it's not my thing, you know, definitely I'm going to try it. Maybe it'll work out, or maybe we come up with a compromise. Something that will, you know, get us both there.
And I think that's what this did. I think that's what this has done for so many couples and women and men out there, because it has, I think it's brought or made relationships get a little bit stronger because now they're able to talk. I experienced this.
Talking is the worst part, right? That's the worst part because you're going to say something that
part.
It's the toughest part. Yeah, it's going to be hard to be like, oh, you know, I'm like, don't think I'm weird. That's the worst part. If you're going to say, don't think I'm weird, right? Don't think I'm weird, but I kind of are into this thing. It should be very open. We're human fucking beings.
Yeah, you're going to try things.
We have things that are just like, you know, innately, you know,
curious.
interest us. Not necessarily curious. You're just like, you know, I love, or I think that not even love. That's a wrong choice of words. But like, I have this thing where I really like this particular thing. Now, not everybody is going to be for that or know it. Now, as long as it's not hurting anybody, or you know, really taboo. You know, I don't see a problem with people's predilections for whatever they're into.
I thought the movie was, all in all, I thought the movie was interesting. It did,
but not great.
Wasn't
for you.
It wasn't for me. No, it wasn't great for me, but it was definitely interesting, and I'll definitely see the second if there is going to be a second and third.
There will be a second and a third.
How did your Valentine take it?
She loved it. She loved it. She looked at it from she's never read them.
Oh, really?
So she looked at it from a strictly romantic movie and the chemistry that these characters had, and she really saw it. Now, did the whips and chains, and they didn't have whips and chains, but they led to that. You know that's what it's about.
Okay, Rihanna.
And they did have some spank scenes and stuff like that, and she was kind of like, "Ooh, no,
spanking is not bad. Is that bad?"
So, it depends on the person, right?
I guess it does.
It's the way in which it's done. You know, sometimes it's done for punishment. Sometimes it's done to be a little degrading, and then other times it's just done for physical pleasure. You know, there's differences between the three, and that's something he even goes into in the story.
Pleasure, right?
There's a difference between punishment spanking and pleasure spanking, and you know, how do you feel one versus the other? So,
cheers.
So, and it was definitely, but she loved it. She really liked it. It was a good love story to her.
Well, let's also talk about the other movie,
Kingsman. So, Kingsman, I thought Kingsman was great. If you guys are continuing to listen, you'll notice that I am a huge comic book fan. So anything that
it was a comic?
Yeah, it was a comic book originally.
I didn't know that either.
It was a comic book originally. If I remember correctly, the comic book was actually the movie is based off of the Secret Service, i.e. Kingsman.
Yeah, I get you.
Done by Mark Millar, Millar. I think it's really pronounced Miller, but everybody likes to say Millar. But Mark Miller and David Gibbons, if I remember correctly, probably back in 2012. Okay. Short series, but it was a really, really fun action flick. It definitely is rated R, but it was a really fun action flick. You know, you've got Oscar winner violence.
Just violence?
Violence in some language.
Okay.
But mostly violence.
I'd like to touch on that, though. Like, you know, you should probably let
you should definitely
know, like, why they're getting a hard
You should
R.
definitely know that it is rated R because it is...
I mean, it looked like it based on the trailer.
It is definitely a rated R flick, if I remember correctly. But it was a fun action flick. You know, it was the guy's action flick out there because, you know, we have to have something for the men to go see on Valentine's Day. And it was really, really good. I enjoyed it because...
It looks... From the trailer,
it was fun.
Awesome.
It was fun. It was just a fun action
flick. What is wrong?
You've got Colin Firth.
I think that the problem is there's no fun movies necessarily anymore.
Not anymore.
Like, they're either going to be these action extravaganzas or, like, dramas or whatever, but, like, there's got to be fun. What happened to fun? Fun was, like, the 90s.
Well, we got pretentious with our movies now. They have to be smart and make you think and everything like that. But this was just a good film where it's an action film. Colin Firth, Oscar winner, King's Speech. Colin Firth plays a James Bond-esque type character. But
Secret Service.
Yeah.
Or...
Well, it was British.
So what would that be? The
MI6.
Yeah.
But he wasn't MI6. It was a privately funded...
Oh, really?
Privately funded. Kingsman was a privately funded organization. But what's really neat is they start out as tailors. And this is the part that I really like because I love a good suit.
Tailors?
I love a good suit.
You want us to do spoiler alert?
Oh, no, I'm not going to... I don't believe in spoilers, so I'm not going to share anything that's going to make you not know what's going on.
I didn't know they were tailors.
But, well, that's Taylor doesn't
Spoiler.
It was a really good flick because you're watching it. It's action packed. You've got some really kind of unique bad guys. You've got
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, of course.
He's a bad guy in
being
the
in
movie?
it. Yeah,
I think so.
Well, he's something of a bad guy. Yeah,
kinda
he's
watched
definitely the antagonist in the movie. But what I loved about it is Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson is known for his voice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in this movie, he has like a speech impediment.
Oh,
So
wow.
everything he says, he like
With a syllable S, like that really hard S.
he sounds like the guy from The Ladies' Man. Is what he sounds like. So when he's talking,
If you win a fifth sandwich.
so when he's talking, he's like, "I just can't stand violence. I just can't stand the sight of blood. It just makes me sick." When you're watching this, you're like, Samuel L. Jackson can't talk.
That makes me think of like, what would Christopher Walken sound like with a speech impediment like that? I would love to hear that.
But
I mean, Christopher Walken would probably never take a role that would give him a speech impediment.
No,
you never know.
Christopher Walken.
yeah, but it was a really fun flick, man.
That's
I don't
good.
want to spoil too much about it, but if you had any interest in the trailer, made you think,
Go see it, right?
Go see it. It has a lot of your favorite BBC actors. You've got Colin Firth. You've got,
Firth.
and I can't think of the guy's name, but he was in Coupling, and he was also in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah. He's the main character. He's the
He's
main
the-
character in Coupling, and he was the affianced person to
Yeah.
Keira Knightley before Orlando Bloom came out.
Correct.
I can't think of his name though.
I can't think of his name either. He's also got a
great,
show on
but-
American TV now too.
It
But
comes down to Coupling though. That was.
Stephen Moffat.
For you people that like
Stephen
really,
Moffat.
really, really like British comedy, please watch a couple of shows. One is Coupling. You need to see Father Ted. Any other?
Jack Davenport.
Yeah. Like those shows. Like one. Hope you're not Catholic if you're going to watch Father Ted. Coupling is like, think of it as the Friends for the BBC, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
It's pretty much
With one writer. So the
but it's
stories are very
amazing.
consistent.
So like the Gigaloop is probably my favorite
one of my
episode.
favorite episodes.
Favorite episode.
But Jack Davenport was that character, and I forgot. But Mark Hamill's actually in it.
Whoa.
Mark Hamill's actually. I didn't even
Skywalker
recognize it was.
himself.
I didn't recognize it was him until the credits, and I was like, "Who is he?" And
Did he have
soundtrack.
makeup? Like,
He
made him
looked
up?
like Mark Hamill. I just didn't realize that was him. He just looks old and kind of large now. But
He's very old.
But it was a good movie,
Still
fun
Luke
action
Skywalker.
flick. The Valentine's Day movies, go see it if you like that kind of stuff. But I'm not going to spoil too much about it.
I like
It's a good
that
action
I
flick.
like that you took the opportunity to go on Valentine's Day to actually treat yourself to a movie and your mate, because that's how it should be. It's Valentine's Day. Like, it's not just one person. It's you guys are a couple. Like, enjoy yourselves.
Yeah, you have to.
All right, so our next subject is going to be free-to-play versus subscription services.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of pressure in PC gaming. This is really a PC gaming problem.
Okay.
But it does carry over a little bit to consoles, and I'll kind of expand on that later. You pay a certain dollar amount for the game. $49.99, $59.99. We're used to that. But most, especially MMOs, you have to pay a monthly subscription fee to play those games. Somewhere around $10 to $15, depending on what you're playing. Then you have expansions that come out. So a year and a half goes by, that's another $49.99. So the battle is, how much content do I get for my initial purchase? If I'm paying you $15 a month, how much content can I expect as a gamer for that dollar amount? Or am I just paying for servers? And then how much do I get with the expansion? So there's a lot of pressure for games to go free to play. And each company is kind of handling it a little differently. Some companies just say, nope, we're not doing it. You don't get a free to play option. Pay or get out. Others, like Star Wars, for example, you can go free, but you don't get as much access to the game. You can still play, but you can't, go into.
Can't go anywhere
you can't go anywhere you want, and you can only have this type of equipment. And other games, they just go at a certain point. They just go free to play entirely. Where we just, there's no need for us to continue a subscription service, and some people see that as a sign that the game is dying. If it goes purely free to play, we can't get anybody to pay for it, and we can't support it, so we're going to go free. But others think that free to play is the only way to really go. So I just kind of wanted to see, what are your thoughts, and how does that translate to the console world of you buy a game and then you buy season passes for downloadable
Or
content?
DLC.
Yeah.
So, well, not being a big PC gamer, but I was in the gaming retail industry for a very long time, and I remember when the very first free-to-play MMORPG came out, which I believe was called Guild Wars.
Yes, Guild Wars.
And it ran for about 2 years, and then it kind of just fizzled away. And I don't even do they even still make it anymore?
Yeah.
They still
do. There's Guild Wars 2, and, and I think there's a plan to make another one.
So, but it doesn't get nearly as much publicity as something like World of Warcraft,
right,
or a StarCraft type game or something to that extent. And I can honestly say that that the paid subscription option what has stopped me from playing a World of Warcraft type game,
right,
or an EverQuest type game, and its vast many expansions. Because I don't believe in buying a game and then paying a monthly subscription for you to. And I always assumed it was just the maintaining of the servers. I didn't know that's what I figured the money went to. It's like, that's ridiculous. Why would I do that when I've already bought the game? Now I got to pay you every month to play it. It's like I'm renting the game, you know.
Yeah.
So that's why I've never done it personally. So I'm a nerd. I love RPGs and I love stories and I love creating a character and watching it level up and destroying and decimating. But if I got to pay to play it, it's not going to happen. Just that simple. And so that's why I've never done it, because I had to pay for it. Now that being said,
would there be a game out there that you would be willing to pay money for?
And so my other point is, there's games out there on the console. This is because to me the pay to play or subscription stuff is pretty much mostly PC gaming.
Not necessarily.
It was.
Yeah.
But on a console, to me, when you do DLC, that just tells me that you knew this game wasn't fully baked when you released it, and you're going to milk more money out of me later, which also angers me. I want a fully baked game when I get it.
Extra Unity.
And with extra, I want a fully baked game when I get it. And then maybe if you sprinkle in a reasonably priced DLC later on, like maybe, and I'm a big costume fan. I love dressing my characters up, or giving me an extra playable character. If you put it in a reasonable price, I'm okay with that. But
what's
if it's
reasonable price?
$10 or less, personally.
No,
I've paid $60 for a game.
Yeah,
I'll pay $10 or $5 for an extra Mario Kart.
But usually it's $19.99.
Yeah, it's usually $20, $20 to $29, and I'm like, whoa, time out, flagging the play. I don't really care that much about the next story in Destiny. That didn't make sense anyway.
It didn't make sense anyway. That's a good point.
Destiny is a really good point, because they did multiple at this point, right?
I think they've just released the first one so far.
They've released the first one. Yeah. The second one is, but it's been ready the whole time. That's
what I can't stand.
But here's the problem. The problem comes down to, and I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt anyway, but let me put this out there, that literally it was, you have been doing the same thing over and over again. You literally did the same quest over and over again just to get legendary equipment. Yeah. If you did something, even if you did it over and over again, but you got unique shit every time, it would actually make it better. But the fact that you were doing the same stories, you couldn't skip the cutscenes.
That was annoying.
You're right. The cutscenes, why couldn't you skip those cutscenes? What would it matter? Because you're doing them every day, every week, whatever. My issue with Destiny, which was a lot of fun when you were with people, but if you were doing it yourself, you literally felt like you were grinding for whatever.
That's the entire game.
And with Destiny, even more so, it was like my friends that were playing it, you guys all included, had a lot more free time to play it than I did, because I was traveling so much. Yeah. And so when I come home and actually sit down and play, I try to join your missions, but you guys were level 29 or level 12, and then it wouldn't even let me. So then I was like, I can't even play it. So I just stopped playing the game. So now that the season passes have come out, or these new DLCs have come out, I'm like, I'm not even strong enough to play the new DLC. Why do I even want to buy it?
I don't have enough, literally time and or, passion to play, NBA 2K15. There are people that are on their third season, rocking it out.
So that's a game that's not so adventure platform-esque.
Sure.
As your NBA. So what does it look like from kind of
no
falling
DLC.
off of? So no DLC on yours. So
no DLC and
no season pass or anything like that.
The stuff they do. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. No,
the stuff they do that's basically DLC is more VC, which is the virtual currency that you use in the game.
But you get that on that.
Outfits,
players.
Yeah, so how do you get jerseys? Do you have to pay for it with actual human currency?
You can, but you don't necessarily have to. There's an app every day that you can accrue VC. Mm-hmm. But my deal is I've taught my character out to the point where you get an upgrade every once in a while, so I got to play a bunch of games. Yeah. Now.
So what is your replay value with something like that? Do you have a way to upgrade your character without paying for it?
As myself, with my face scanned in
Okay.
for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay.
And that's my team. I'm the season ticket holder. Love them. I get to play with Kevin Durant.
Okay.
I get to play with Russell Westbrook.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's a dream. But
So
what's my you play game. You're playing.
Yeah, you just like
Sports games are a little unique because
Yeah, exactly.
they're designed to be replayed. But
Just
you
to
also
play a
know
game.
you also know the experience is going to be somewhat consistent.
Uh-huh.
It's not like
Exactly.
all of a sudden the game is going to change. With
Yeah.
shooters,
You're not going to find a boss.
Destiny, for example, people expect to grind to a certain point, but then they need new.
okay.
They have to have.
So
new.
there's
And if you took
the need for
the need for new content. If you took Destiny and put it in like an MMO format, you probably wouldn't have even paid for the quote unquote expansions that they're putting out because there's not
agree.
enough content. Those would have been They would have been patch updates,
and
which
that's the big thing.
and that's
Like,
what it should
there's
have
not
been.
enough
But there's
stuff.
not a way to really do that.
much
Consoles
are
are built on if you're adding something, you're always paying for it. Whereas MMOs and PCs, you get a patch, new content. You don't really see that.
But
in
would
console
you
games.
also
Okay.
agree that like the add-on, like let's say for like
That makes
Bioshock, which was a secondary story where you played as a different character and you got to kind of immerse yourself in that, even for a couple hours, even if it was a couple
Yeah.
hours, it was still worth it because you got to play a little bit more versus something that you've already been played a while as that same character and you're kind of going through the same rigmarole. I mean that sucks.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
it's-
like I want more story. Like The Last of Us put out a DLC that was $14.99, but you got to play a little bit more into that character and see where like how her stuff happened. My deal is like, and I don't know if it was worth that because it'll always go cheaper a little later on.
Yeah.
My deal is like,
Unless you're selling
like
it.
continue the storyline and do it well. Like Infamous.
Yeah, Infamous
Yeah.
did amazing.
Infamous. Now it was just
Both
recently.
times.
It's still
Yeah.
free right now, right?
Yeah.
Or was that last month?
Well, it was last month's PlayStation Plus.
Was that First Light?
Yes,
So good.
so good.
So good.
Well, Infamous has always historically that's the second time they've done an additional story on their core game because they
Yeah,
did
I
it with
know that.
Festival of Blood too.
Yeah, which is
And
also really
that was
good.
amazing. So that kind of falls kind of
That's where
the
DLC is
argument.
done well.
Yeah. And you're okay paying for it because it gave you new abilities, new storyline, new characters in some state, and then the second DLC was new characters to play actually. So but that's what it's Sucker Punch. Sucker Punch knows what they're doing when they make a game. They really make really good games. But
They're
it still
also
falls
only
under the
making it for one
factor that
platform.
you could have given me that as a free download because the Festival of Blood was only $9.99, $10.
Yeah.
Again, that sweet spot of price point.
First Light was 14 when it came out, right?
And now it's
15.
free.
Yeah.
But it was free. It was free. It was
And
free
I never
for
regretted
PlayStation Plus.
really purchasing
No,
it either.
you watched me finish it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed every minute of that.
Then, well, that kind of brings me to a point of with DLC, like, there's a lot of it does depend on the game. So, like, with something like a Call of Duty, by the time they start releasing the DLC, since they're on like a 3-year or yearly cycle with 3 different companies basically putting them out. So by the time you buy the DLC, the next month you're about to be buying the brand new, and so it's like, why do I keep?
And it's not that
when
good.
And
Like, make it good.
More maps.
Yeah,
just
that's all it is. More maps.
And then like
Maybe
with,
some new guns.
Like Burial
Nintendo,
Under,
They don't
though,
even do that very often.
There
Burial
are some
Under the
ki-
Sea, the Bioshock, even it was probably wasn't worth what it was, but you continue that storyline and you fleshed it out. It was done.
Yeah.
Like, I think
Which was
Nintendo does really good. They like with their DLC. Nintendo usually it's not like going to be. Most of their games aren't on like a yearly cycle. So
Yeah.
like Mario Kart 8.
Oh yeah,
It's like if they release, like I bought the DLC for it, and I don't buy DLC at all because it gave you extra tracks, vehicles.
It gave you more to the game.
Yeah, and I know that a year from now they're probably not releasing another Mario Kart, so I kind of feel like I'm not going to be cheated by buying this DLC, and then all of a sudden there's a Mario Kart 9. I'm like, really? Like, now I guess I'll buy that game, and yeah, so
Like to talk to the Mario Kart or the Nintendo, I cannot think of his name probably because I can't pronounce it. But the head creator director of Super Smash Brothers, he released a press conference saying you're only going to get one piece of DLC for Super Smash Brothers. It's going to be Mewtwo. He's already completed, but I don't believe in making you continually download games because it makes you feel like the game wasn't fully baked. This is a fully baked game with an amazing roster.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you one extra character just because. and because you don't really understand. And he kind of went into a really long detail that I guess we should probably reshare on the Facebook page. I'll find it and reshare it, of how he said that there's so much that goes into making downloadable content on a game to integrate this new character into the game that it's too much time and too much money. So this is what you get. And I think that's what you should get. When you get a game, it should be fully baked, and this is the finished product. And
I think it's going to happen anymore.
I don't think it is either. It's a cash cow. It's definitely a cash cow.
I agree with, if you're a multiplayer type person, especially shooters, you do get, it gets a little stagnant if you don't have additional maps to play on. Mm-hmm. But it's the timing. I cannot stand it when a game comes out and then 30 days later they're releasing new map packs. Mm-hmm. Okay, you could have put that in the game. Or even worse, when you unlock something that's on the disc. When you pay $10
several times.
You pay $10 and then you see the file.
But
You're
did
expecting
you see Destiny? Like, Destiny was a really good example of that. Why would you cap it at such a low level?
So wait. Elaborate more so on that, because I don't think I follow.
Gears of War 2 was the first time I ever saw it happen.
Okay.
Bought the game. About 35, 40 days, they're like, hey, we're gonna give you these 3 new maps. Pay $7.99 or whatever for the maps. And, you say hit download. I expect to see 1.5 gig download is what I expected. And it's 104 kilobytes. I'm like, whoa. All I'm doing is unlocking content that's already on the disc.
Oh, wow.
We discussed
I threw
this
a fit. And my brother saw the same thing.
I didn't either.
And I've seen it.
I've
seen it a few times.
If you look over there, I have the Gears of War 2 collector's edition, but I've never bought the DLC for it. Because, one, we didn't play that much multiplayer.
I'll say I played the multiplayer constantly, so I was going to do it no matter what.
No.
But it irked me.
Wow.
And so every time I buy DLC now, I'm expecting that. Because I think games, that's just where their head's at. Mm-hmm. Season passes are a perfect example. That was unheard of until
way to make more money.
A year and a half ago. And now it's pay us a little bit of a cheaper rate up front, and we'll give you all the DLC.
But
we'll give you the fully baked game.
The inverse on that is I will, from somebody that plays video games, I will only pay for games that I feel deserve my money. So, example, The Last of Us,
You love
for that
game, right?
Yeah,
I paid for it. No, not even a question. BioShock Infinite, paid for the season pass for it. I didn't play the multiplayer, and personally, the issue comes down to I don't have enough time anymore to play multiplayer with my friends. So I'm gonna play for if there's a side story. You know what I mean? The multiplayer is cool if I have that many people playing that same game, but I want to pay for more story. And that's where video games have gotten better, story-wise, in my personal opinion.
Well, they've gotten better initially, but you don't see as much story.
I agree with
DLC.
that.
It's I guess it's too costly. It takes too long.
We're going to get you this gun for $10.
It took us 2.5 years to build this game, to build 14 hours of gameplay because it's so beautiful and so many options. I can't
4 to 5 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, and it would take us another year to give you another 2 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, like Sunset Overdrive.
I can rather give you new characters and these little 15-minute, kind of like Mass Effect did. They give you these little sub-stories that were good, and they did add on to the game, but once you played it once, there was no point to play it again. It wasn't like the main story, which I can play multiple times.
Oh, I agree. But that was actually a surprising thing that you brought up with Sunset Overdrive, which was not a hard game. Anybody could beat it and have a good time with it. My issue came down to the fact that, once I beat it, I could care less about any of the sub-stories.
Well, they just released a new sub-story on that one that I'm curious about.
I don't care.
Yeah. But what surprised me was, you have a season pass. And the season pass, the first part of the season pass gave you all the new weapon packs and all of the new costumes and so forth and so on. Well, I beat the game. And then they gave me half this damn season pass. I'm like, wait, what?
So, they did that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they gave you everything basically but the new... the new story parts, but I beat the game, and congratulations for buying our Sunset Overdrive white Xbox bundle.
Oh, you got it for buying the white Xbox.
So now you beat the game. Here's all the weapons that you would have gotten in the season pass. Because I actually went to the season pass to buy it, and then I went and looked, and I was like, "Well, I already have half of these weapons."
But were those weapons even worth it?
I leveled one up and used it the whole game, so I don't know.
Exactly.
I never used them. So, But
it's only $10 though. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's in that sweet spot where I'm okay with
You know what? You
humoring
say only
buying.
$10, but that's 10 of your
No,
dollars.
I'm talking. Well, I'm not going to buy it because
Oh, exactly.
I don't do DLC. But I mean, other people might. So
Yeah,
I'm just
$10
like, that's
is a sweet spot. When you do 20 is when I kind of like, no.
I think that you think that, but like a lot of people are like $10 is still $10 on top.
But
of
it's an
what
issue
already
of supply and demand, basically, and how the market works. If you don't actually like, if people out there hate the fact that there's DLC and like they're charging you extra, but they're voting with their wallets, so they still like, I hate this, and then they go out and buy it.
Yeah.
I
So
agree, but
why
I
would
feel like some people are like their arms are tied. And they're
well,
like,
because
wanna know more about this
they
story.
keep paying. Like, if people, the only reason they started doing more DLC and more of
Because
this,
it went over
because
well.
people just kept paying for it.
But you got to
Regardless.
remember, too, one of the first ones to start that away from the PC genre was Halo 2. Halo 2, when it released those
the
multi-pack,
You had to buy the disc.
that was amazing. That was amazing.
You could either buy the disc or you could buy the actual. I bought the disc just because I wanted something physical.
Because I wanted
and then I was
physical.
like, it's stupid.
But that was amazing.
And then
Those-
Call of Duty is like the one that basically cemented it.
Yeah,
into
Call of
our
Duty just took it
existence.
to a whole different level.
with
I agree.
So, but you know, I personally still that's the why I don't play the MMORPGs.
Agree or disagree? Like DLC is not going away.
No, it's not going to.
If you want more story, if you want more guns, whatever, like you will either pay or not pay, and it's up to you.
And I love costumes.
Because I think honestly, like between the four of us, like we will say there's pros and there's cons. So there's no way to actually go beyond that.
Just like pre-order
I
a
agree.
game.
Pre-order bonuses.
I'm basically
let's not
pre-ordering
even
a
talk
game.
about
while
pre-order.
we can do that on the
game.
next podcast.
Yeah.
Pre-order bonuses.
We are because that's
That's
not,
silly because that doesn't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know, pre-order.
Not really.
It does. Oh no, it's very much there, but
But it's all in-game stuff. It's not something tangible.
I'm not even talking about pre-ordering DLC. I'm talking about pre-ordering games, period. Like Assassin's Creed, I pre-ordered that thing, went and got it, and basically because of that game alone, I'm no longer pre-ordering the game.
well, it was funny to me because you
I like
pre-ordered that.
tchotchkes.
You pre-ordered that Naruto game. And he pre-ordered a Naruto game, and he got all this extra stuff for it. And I was like, he was telling me how great it was. I was like, you know what, I really want that game too. So I'm gonna go buy it. And I went and bought it. And we're playing it online. He's like, did you get all the downloadable content that came along with the pre-order? I was like, yeah, it's inside the case. I was like, I bought it at Walmart. It's inside the case.
Yeah.
And we're both getting the exact same stuff. He pre-ordered it and put his $5 down to guarantee a copy. But I went to Walmart and got it a day and a half, 2 days later.
Yeah.
And I got the exact same thing you did.
Yeah, this has to be another topic on our next time because there's so much going
Because
on
then
with
you can definitely talk
pre-ordering
about
games.
Nintendo
I agree,
pre-orders
and
versus
I think
everybody
we
else.
should talk about it because, like, I was looking for like the Ni no Kunai, which was the Studio Ghibli. No, that's
the Japanese
3DS.
talking about the
Japanese game.
PlayStation.
But I
PlayStation
actually I pre-ordered it and I got a steel case,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
Yeah. It's
So,
beautiful.
like, I say that if you are into
if it's something
pre-ordering games,
tangible, yeah.
tchotchkes,
Yeah.
If you get something cool out of it, do it if you want the game. But if you don't,
Well, now,
it doesn't really give you that much. Other than
and we
like maybe
definitely should talk
in-game.
about pre-orders next time because now, especially with Nintendo, if you don't pre-order it now, you may not even get it.
That is true.
You know,
And you have the add-on too with Sony and Microsoft pushing so hard for digital sales.
yeah.
That
Oh, yeah.
I used to be the guy
That's
who
right.
would always get the big box. I would always get the helmet or the add-ons.
Or the
and now
statue.
I'm almost to the point where I would love to have those things, and I may buy them separately. But I want the game at midnight, or in this case, like Evolve that just came out. I had it at 11 p.m. If I had purchased that at GameStop,
can see
I
why
wouldn't
you
have
would
been
like
playing.
it, though.
Yeah.
I would have been waiting in line.
Uh-huh.
Were you in
Now
the beta?
I just download it. Yeah,
I was in the beta and I really didn't have much fun because I wasn't playing with my friend.
You're playing
You'll
by yourself. I'm
you'll
playing
play-
with my
You,
brother.
play
and
with,
my
you
friend.
always
Yeah.
play with your brother and
But if
your,
you
your
can imagine
clan,
playing
you know.
by yourself,
Oh yeah,
like
I didn't play it
you
by
have
myself.
idiots that are dealing.
Yeah.
that you're dealing with. So.
But
okay.
I've become a digital
Yeah. So I definitely
person.
want to talk
So
about pre-orders next time.
yeah,
That'll be fun.
that'll be
Someone take a note on that.
Yeah, I got it.
You got it.
All right, so our next topic is the KOR-FX gaming vest, haptic feedback gaming vest.
This is you, bro.
Yeah, mainly me, I guess. We've actually sampled it a lot in a few videos, did a video review that I think it's sitting at about 12,000 views now, thanks to KOR-FX. The KOR-FX team put it on their website because they ended up liking it a lot, so we've been getting a lot of traffic for it.
Let's say, stop, everybody. Seriously, from the Nerdgasm channel, let's just say thank you to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you
definitely
so
thank you.
much.
Founders Day.
Yeah,
Oh my
like
God,
they
thank you.
sent me a silver because we've been supportive of them. We've done several reviews and just like mentioned the fact of like like whenever I'm playing at home with it, I might tweet out that sitting here with the vest on playing it and stuff. So since we gave them so much support, in order to basically say thanks to us, they sent a Founders Edition silver vest, and basically when they were doing their initial Kickstarter, I supported them by buying the regular vest, but they had a limit of 100 silver Founder Edition vests, which was $250 if you did it on the Kickstarter. The normal vest was $150, and they sent us one with the letter too, just basically letting us know their support, that they appreciate our support, and also gave us an offer to test out their version 2 vest when they start the testing of
That'll
it.
be great.
So yeah, I can't thank them enough. I love the silver; it looks badass.
Yeah, it does.
I just
It does
sit
look
at,
pretty slick.
I'm
In
gonna
fact,
sit
you
at
look
home.
good in it.
I know. I look
You
good
look
in
amazing.
everything.
Okay, good.
You're gonna look good in
All right, we're gonna
everything.
go there. We're gonna go there. All right.
I sit at home just wearing the vest without anything on. Just sometimes it's like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah,
You
you
not
probably
wearing
shouldn't,
that vest
you
again.
probably shouldn't talk about that.
No. I said.
You said you weren't wearing
no,
anything.
I meant nothing. Like no
But a
game.
thong.
Did he not say? Did he not?
I
I
meant-
swear I heard it. He said,
No,
it was like,
I
wear
said
that
with
vest
nothing-
with nothing on.
Nothing on in terms of no game hooked up to it is what I meant. Nothing on my body. But yeah, I really like the vest. I've had the most time with it because, of course, I own it. So I don't know. I know some of you liked it as well. You've gotten tested
But
out.
here's the big thank you. The big thank you is that one, we can dual vest it. Two, the other vest will actually go to like Nerdgasm to do videos and stuff like that. You know, honestly, like everything that KOR-FX, you know, that we've done has literally been Willy. It is Willy all the way. It goes to you. That vest is yours, man. Like that silver vest. That, like, when they sent it to Nerdgasm Channel, that was really nice. It was very sweet. I'm telling you, I love that, and it is you, bro. Like, you were the one that like made that happen.
Indeed.
So
I think I'm gonna cry.
So that vest,
Good
that
thing
vest
this is
yours
on radio
very special.
recorded.
It's very special
Yeah,
to you.
and-
Now, what's awesome is that like that allowed us to have a vest, you know, to do other things with. Like we can do movies, we can take it to cons and stuff like that. Don't ever think that like what you do is insignificant for any reason, because what you do, what you bring to the table is you're literally the heart and soul of Nerdgasm. Like you are. You need to know that, bro.
God, this is almost feels like one of those moments whenever like someone's quitting a show or something, or quitting work, and everybody gives them this like end shout out thing. Like I'm trying not to be.
We co-founded this, but you are the heart and soul.
I'm trying not to be all weepy.
You work your ass off for this show so much, and there's nothing that we can say to even. And that was the biggest thrill that you got that vest, because it validated your hard work. Everything that you have done to this point, and we're not even a year old, bro. We are still in the infant stage. Like everything that you have done, and you've helped, and you worked your ass off on, was to see where we're gonna go, and we can only go up.
Are you trying to make me cry?
No, I'm sorry. I don't want to make you cry, but I think everybody here. I think everyone. Well, we could, but
We just need to hold.
I don't think
each other
anybody
at the
here
end of
would
this.
disagree with me that the heart and soul of Nerdgasm. You are Nerdgasm. You are Nerdgasm Channel.
I want to send a shout out to Jessica and Seth from the KOR-FX team.
What about Sophie?
She's Funimation.
Yeah, but she was there, and you like.
Yeah, that's where I met
Sophie.
Sophie and stuff. But
exactly.
she's with Funimation.
She gets a shout out.
And then they've been very nice and stuff with us too. So Seth, I met him there at SGC. Jessica, been chatting with her on Twitter and stuff. Like, yeah, she's been really nice. So I would like to get them something too, kind of say thanks. So
They
some
need a Nerdgasm shirt.
some Nerdgasm swag eventually.
But speaking on that, like with like the Nerdgasm shirts, like I think eventually it's about to change. So like we'll see where it goes. So we could do the
we might have some contest or something coming up that has to do with that. So stay tuned on it.
Exactly.
Thank you for listening to the Nerdgasm Channel Podcast. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch,
Instagram.
We got a Vine. Actually, we got a Vine now.
We have a Vine now.
Yeah,
we need to start doing something.
I know. I put a video up just a second ago.
Right.
But so I'll put all the links to the to those channels on the video description below. But check us out and all that. We love to reach out to y'all. Give us suggestions of other topics you want us to talk about. We definitely check those topics, even on our YouTube and Facebook page. Anytime someone posts, we try to make sure we get back to them on that. So we love to hear from you. All right, thanks for listening. And once again, my name is Willie, Unofficial Ninja.
Zach, Romeo 313.
Jules, Fade Alexander.
Brandon, Kirito.
And see you next time.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening.
Peace.